The title of today's workshop and training is How a Little Known Marketing Framework Ignited New Client Revenue by 112%. And we're going to peel back the curtain and share with you through our own experience here at Mindfire and with case studies and information from the community, clients, partners, folks that we've trained to use this process so that you have an understanding, so that you have a roadmap and you have a strategy that you can start to apply to get ahead of your competitors. Now, if this is your first time with us, you're in a series, you're joining us in a series where we're focused on how to market, sell, and lead through this time of crisis by bringing you insights from folks who are actually making it happen. So that's omni-channel social marketing, social selling from people who are doing it right now. And I'm going to show you a few examples of the prior sessions. If you missed any of those, we'll give you a link where you can go get those. But this is for you. If you're in leadership, if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, you might work for an agency. We have a lot of folks in the print community that are with us. And basically, it boils down to a B2B or B2C organization who's looking for ways to engage their customers and prospects because what used to work just doesn't seem to work anymore. All right. And so this is a series, like I said, of different thought leaders that we're bringing to you, like the ones you see here on the screen. Brian Galad talking about LinkedIn. Mike Robinson over at Summit Direct Mail talking about how omni-channel and direct mail have helped them scale their company. So if you missed any of these sessions, last week we did CC Smith, CEO over at Toolbox Studios, probably one of our most popular sessions to date, right, Mackenzie? People love that one. If you missed any of these episodes and you want the link, just drop the word recording in LinkedIn or in Zoom over there and let us know if you want those recordings. We'll get those over to you. Make sure that you can take a look at all of these sessions at your leisure, and hopefully they will bring you substantial value. Now, speaking of value, we want to make sure that we acknowledge that times are tough for a lot of us, a lot of people, okay? And if you're leading or if you're marketing, you're selling during this season and you're wrestling with, how to actually get your business, how to drive your sales, how to get your business to the next level, then let's make sure we get connected on LinkedIn. And I want to give you a little piece of value. This is an interesting thing that we do from time to time. I want you to pull out your cell phone right now and open up your camera, just like I'm doing here, okay? And you may already know this, more and more people know this, but point your camera at the QR code that you see there on the screen. What a lot of people don't know, and it may be surprising to you, I want to know this, is that most modern cameras now have the QR code reader built into the camera. So when you point it at that, it'll give you a spot where you can open up LinkedIn and connect with me. Does that work for you? Does that work for everyone? And if that was new for you, drop us a 1 in the chat. More and more people know about this these days because of COVID and touchless menus and things like that. That was new to you. So Rob says it was new to him. Drop a 1 if that was new to you. Take your camera, point it at the screen. Let's connect on LinkedIn because we want to bring you value, just like what we've shown you here. QR codes are a really effective way of connecting with your audience. We're going to talk about that more in just a bit. Fred says it was new to him as well. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we shared that with you. And if you haven't picked up yet, like I dropped Fred's name here a second ago, we are live. We're chatting with you on LinkedIn and Zoom, not on Facebook today, just LinkedIn and Zoom. Also, I want you to text us during the conversation today, Mackenzie or Suzanne, whoever is doing the background chatter. If you could just drop my cell phone number in there. If you would prefer to chat through text, I can see that as well here. And I want to keep this very interactive as we go into the material. So I'm going to introduce Mackenzie here in just a minute. And I think officially we can get started here. I'm seeing more people still come in the room in Zoom, but let's go ahead and start and talk a little bit about why we pulled this case study and training together for you today. If you look at the screen, tell me if any of these resonate with you. If you're in marketing, if you're in sales, you're in business development, no one answers the phone, their emails, or their LinkedIn messages these days, or people just aren't at work. I can't find them. We have no leads. Or maybe you have leads, but you're not getting conversion. People ghost you. Maybe you think, hey, we used to shine in person when we would meet face-to-face with folks, but now in this digital-only environment, I don't know what to do. How do I stand out with all the clutter floating out there, all the noise? I saw there were hundreds of you who responded to us prior to the session saying, I just don't know how to stand out. Isn't there digital overload, right? Do any of these resonate with you? Give me a yes in the chat. Yeah, with you, Mackenzie. Give me a yes in Zoom. Give me a yes in LinkedIn if these resonate. And did I miss any? Tell me in the chat if we missed any. If we missed any of these for you. Melissa, Michael, Barry, Troy, Chris. So the goal today is simple. If you're suffering from any of those, if you know that feeling that I'm describing, that we're talking about here, and yet inside you sense, hey, there's something out there that can help. It's just not in focus. You see the screen here where there's something out there. You just can't tell what it is. It's not in focus. We're going to help bring that into focus for you and help you understand why this is happening. And maybe even more importantly, what you can do to address it. Now, specifically, we want to help you through the material today, learn how to 2x your lead flow, okay? We're not promising 100x, we're not promising 10x, but with what you're learning today, you should be able to double, all right? And once you double those leads, and if they're quality leads, the results that follow, meaning revenue, should fall in line without spending money on ads, without hiring more people, and then doing it in a way that's completely new, but in a way that's going to help you get ahead. Does that make sense, everyone? Now, to make this even more concrete for you, let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. There are, how many, let me ask you this question. How many of you are here in print? How many are print companies, print owners, print sales execs? Drop the word print in chat, in Zoom or in LinkedIn if you're in the print community. If you're an agency, drop the word agency. And if I haven't hit one of you, B2B or B2C, tell me if you're a B2B market or B2C sales. The point in saying this is, yeah, I see a lot of print people here. There are leads out there in what we call social that are just sitting there. Like this example here, not long ago, 4 days ago, looking for direct mailing services in Canada, right? I bet many of you missed these leads. You have no idea they're even out there. You don't know how to go and find them. You don't know how to engage them. We get these leads. We find these opportunities on a nearly daily basis. In fact, Mac, why don't you throw my cell phone number back in the chat there again? That's why we give you that. Send me a message. Say, hey, I'm on the webinar. When we get these leads, Dave and Mackenzie, I want you to notify me. And we'll text you when we find these. Marketing opportunities, print opportunities, you name it, all right? That's what I want to help you learn today is how to find those things on your own, how to get people to come to you to request your services as opposed to you having to constantly pitch them. Also, at the end, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to learn more how to put this in place for your organization. We'll talk to you about the next steps you can take. If you want our help in doing that, we'll articulate the ways that we can help you, okay? And so the key over the next 90 minutes, if you're taking notes, I want to show you with Mackenzie how omni-channel social selling is the key that you're likely missing right now to creating more leads and sales. It's very simple. To get the leads and the sales that you need right now to bring more predictability into your business in what is an increasingly unpredictable world. And I'm going to show you the proprietary framework to help you achieve that. And if you stay to the end, we have a very generous sponsor here, Joanne Gore, who's created a guide that helps you take some next steps. I'm going to give that to you free at the end of the session for everybody who stays to the end, all right? So remind us at the end. She's compiled all of this material. It's a very, very, very useful guide to help you understand how to put this in place for your business. If you're here at the end, we'll get that to you. Now, real quick, since some of you are new here, I see more and more people coming in Zoom, and I see you folks over there in LinkedIn. Yeah, for those of you who want the leads, please text me. Yeah, Suzanne's giving the cell phone number there. Mac, if you don't mind dropping that in chat there for Zoom as well. Real quick, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Dave Rosendahl, president here at Mindfire, and with me is Mackenzie. Mackenzie, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
There we go. Mackenzie is the director of demand generation and sales here at Mindfire. Recently took the reins over that part of the organization. And so I've asked her to come here to share with you how this has completely changed everything about her part of the organization and how it's allowed us to bring in 112% more revenue from new clients. And a lot of you messaged us before this and said, hey, are you talking about existing clients? No. These are new people in the midst of a pandemic economy. So if you've never met us before here at Mindfire, we generally work with two groups, two types of customers. Service providers, like many of the print and agency friends that are here in Zoom and in LinkedIn. We help you use omni-channel, what we're talking about today, to do two things: reach more of your customers and prospects so you can sell more print or marketing services, or some of our clients that are service providers also will sell that as a service to their customers. We'll talk more about that later if you want to know more about that. And we also work with thousands of global brands. So everything we're talking to you about today comes from this experience that we've been blessed with, not only here at Mindfire, but also working with thousands of organizations. But I got to be honest with you folks. We're going to be very transparent today. It hasn't always been this way. Mackenzie's shaking her head, right? You know, Mac. In fact, just a few short years ago, we were in a very similar situation to, like many of you who contacted us before today's training, saying things are tough. Very, very similar to the situation I described a moment ago. Like, nobody's answering the phone. We don't have any leads. People are ghosting us, right? So Mackenzie, why don't you rewind for us a little bit? Tell us about that period of time and help us understand how we came to this realization.
Yeah, so here's the thing, and thank you for introducing me, Dave. I'm super excited to be here. As Dave mentioned, I feel I'm a learner. So I always go to things to learn, and I want to hear different frameworks, things that are going to impact my business, my team, all of those things. But I like to hear from people who've actually rolled up their sleeves and done it themselves, that they have hands-on experience. So I just want to say we're going to be talking about a lot of exciting things here today. And I want to promise you that all the things that we're talking about are things that we have been able to do here at Mindfire this year in 2020, right? So it is stuff that is relevant and applicable that you can take and apply to your business. And it's a framework, so it's definitely going to work. But as Dave mentioned, before we do that, let's rewind a little bit. And I want to tell you that a few years ago, we really believed that we had a fairly decent marketing and sales operations. We were doing all the things, right? But we realized that we were doing things wrong. And we want to talk about how we actually discovered this framework during that process where we were doing it wrong. And in fact, this is a picture that we took, I think it was probably like at midnight or something when we were working on campaigns. And at that time, we were working really closely with our engineering and our product team to develop a product called Studio, which many of you know now. And I remember thinking, okay, we have this incredible technology that is so powerful. And I know that many of our customers are benefiting from it, but how come that's not translating on the sales and marketing side? We were hearing from our marketing and sales team, we couldn't reach people. We would send these emails, no one's replying. We had an awesome product, but again, no one was interested. We couldn't bridge that gap between what we had and people out there who we knew needed it. And right here's a picture of our database, which as you see, there's nothing in there. You know, we were hearing on a daily basis. I was hearing on a daily basis from our sales team, guys, we need new, fresh leads because we're scraping an empty barrel. Does this sound familiar to any of you? Have you, or do you now feel like, where are my leads? Who am I supposed to be talking to? If this sounds familiar to you, I want you to go over to the chat and say yes, because we are going to help you address this. And so with this problem of no leads, great product, what are we doing wrong? This started to create anxiety, and Dave was really upset about it. We were all upset about it. And we felt like we have to do something to figure it out.
Yeah, good point, Mac.
Did try things, right?
Yep.
And we went to trade shows. Many of you have been to trade shows. These are great places where all of your best prospects and customers are. And we went there and we spent tens of thousands of dollars, but there was very little new interest coming in. And so we desperately needed to do something different, right? We needed to create demand. We needed to generate leads so that we could stay alive, right? So that we could continue to feed our families. And so we were trying to figure out, what was happening. And this is where our journey began.
Yeah, and I saw somebody ask why we're calling this omni-channel as opposed to omni-channel. Hang tight, whoever asked that question. We are getting there, and we'll make it very clear how that fits into the model. So yeah, Mac, I remember as you were saying very clearly, inside, to be honest with all of you, if you're business leaders, if you run your organizations or if you oversee sales, you may know the feeling. You know something is wrong, right? what the heck is going on? It's not unlike the feeling that many of us have had this year. And Mackenzie, you were describing that, we were doing a lot of the quote unquote right things. What were some of those things that we thought we were doing right?
Yeah, so we were sending lots of emails. We were going to trade shows. We were posting here and there on social media. We're like, well, we know where people are on social media. We were posting, but then nothing was happening. Right?
Yep.
And all these things, these are the right things to be doing. But for some reason, we may have had the right ingredients, but our recipe was wrong.
Something
And
was
that's what
wrong.
we look to try to figure out.
Yeah, and from my vantage point, it all came to a head on the day that this photo was taken. Some of you have heard me give this story before, tell you this, but it was a foundational and pivotal moment for me and our organization. This is a few years back. I think it's 2016 or so. It was February 24th because it was this little girl's birthday here. I remember we took our daughter Emmy to Disneyland. Of course, the happiest place on earth. And I'm the kind of guy that's always taking pictures. You'll learn why that is here in just a moment. I'm that annoying guy, always taking pictures. I took this picture as we were walking from the parking lot to the happiest place on earth. Now, the reason why I remember that is because I was pretending, I'm being honest with you here, folks, I was pretending to take pictures of my kids and my wife, but really what I was doing is texting back to the office because it was close to the end of the month. It was the 24th. And sales were disgusting. I mean, I don't even know how any other word to describe it. So I'm looking at my phone, pretending to be taking pictures, but inside I was worried sick. How many of you know that feeling? Give me a 1 in the chat if you know that feeling, both in LinkedIn or in Zoom. I can't be the only one, right? I was literally at the happiest place on earth, but inside worried sick, unable to enjoy my family and my kids. And I told myself, this has to stop. And I remember distinctly stepping onto It's a Small World. Now you're probably going to have that song stuck in your head. And I said, we have to figure out what the hell is going on here. Where are all the leads? How come we're completely dry? And so if you know that feeling, you're smiling on the outside, you're with your family, you're with your friends, you're with your loved ones, but inside you're worried sick. And that feeling I'm describing. How many of you feel that right now? Give me an X. Give me an X if you have something similar to that. It's okay. You can share here with us. It can completely rob you of, especially now in the holiday season, it can rob you of, being able to enjoy the moment. So what happened, Mac?
Yeah. So what happened was, and I told you a second ago, it's not like we weren't doing anything, right? We were doing the right things, but they weren't generating results. And so what we decided to do is say, okay, you know what? We are a very hands-on, like I told you a second ago, we roll up our sleeves to try to figure it out. And so we said, you know what, let's go over and take over that marketing operations and try to figure out what's going on. We had a strategy session and we said, listen, we've got a lot of good things, right? We found a few positive rays of light that were in there. And so we tried to look at what was performing versus focusing on those things that weren't performing. And we started to do things in a way where we got more leads. And it did present a little bit of a little sign of life out there that people were resonating. But there proved to be a significant problem with the approach that we were taking as we looked and we strategized about what was going on. And so the problem is that we were creating content, but to do it, it was so expensive and time consuming. I know because I was up at midnight doing those things, right? Our team was like, how much content are we able to produce, right? And in order to produce it and then get it out there, it required things like HTML. Well, I was a marketer. I came from a sales background. I didn't know how to do those things. And I'm definitely a hands-on learner. I was up at midnight, trying to figure those things out and I could put it together. But something just felt like, why is it harder than it needs to be? Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. So the pressure was really on at that point. And so on the one hand, we had our sales staff saying there's no leads. And on the other hand, we have what you just described, Mackenzie, of it being a really, really tough time. It takes a lot of energy and time and money to create valuable content. And so taking those two things together, it was a tough spot to be in. And I'll admit there were times where I thought about the existential situation for our organization, meaning what if we lose the business? What if we have to fire everyone? All of the families on the line. I mean, my family is one, but there's so many other families, hundreds of families and organizations that are on the line if we don't figure this out. And so what happened, and some of you have heard this story before, but what happened is that I remembered something that occurred shortly after my first daughter was born. I was walking to Target. We lived close to a Target at the time to get diapers. And I happened to see out of the corner of my eye this gentleman here. His name is Dave as well. He was disheveled. I could tell from my senses that he was homeless. You know what I mean? And I'm ashamed to admit that normally, Mac, friends, I keep walking. I just keep going. But that day, I stopped and I talked to him. And we ended up having a conversation that to this day has been transformative for not only me personally, but also for the organization and for how we kind of really came to see this Opti channel model. From just a personal level, I realized that what separates me, one Dave, from him, the other Dave, is a razor thin margin. That's a whole other story. It is a very true thing, even for many people right now, as I'm sure you're aware. And that feeling really shook me. So I ran home. I started writing. Writing is kind of a cathartic experience for me. It helps me process my thoughts. And for some strange reason, I decided to put it up on my personal blog. I started putting these words and the pictures up on a blog. I shared how I actually ran into another buddy there. We helped Dave pick out some new shoes. We bought him some shoes. We went over to Five Guys Burgers. How many of you like Five Guys? We bought him a burger. I took pictures of him. I took pictures of that experience. And again, I know I'm the weird guy always taking pictures. I'll tell you why in a second. And we started having a relationship, a friendship over the course of the next couple of weeks, couple of months. I even did videos, took a couple of videos. So I wrote about it. I took pictures and I posted videos. And what started to happen really surprised me. Two things. Number one, people would walk up to me with wads of cash, not for me, for Dave. They'd say, hey, I've been following your story. People I had no idea were even following along. Been following your story. This is for Dave. Keep doing what you're doing. But what was even more surprising is people started asking us about Mindfire, about our business. What does your company do? What does your software do? How do you reach your customers? How come I see you everywhere? Hey, we haven't talked in a while. Tell me more about your company. Mac, if you don't mind, or whoever's in the chat right now, drop that URL that you see there in the speaking notes. If anybody wants to read that story and understand how the process unfolded natively, go ahead and drop that URL. You can check it later, folks. But this surprised me. And so when we were at this dark point, I remembered back to this experience. And I suddenly had, I guess what I could only just call as an epiphany. I said, wow. The way people communicate has dramatically changed. And unless we are publishing content that gives people value, profoundly gives them value, we're going to continue to fight this uphill battle. Secondly, what I realized is we weren't hanging out as a business where our customers and prospects were hanging out. When I say hanging out, I put it in air quotes. What I mean is, where are they getting their information online? And unless you know how to be there, and unless you know how to engage them in a modern way, and unless you know the optimal channel, back to the friend who asked that a second ago, that's what we call this Opti channel, the optimal channel for your audience, and I'm going to describe to you, show you how to know that, things are just going to get increasingly hard. And now with COVID, this change has accelerated even more. I don't know if this makes sense to you, if you think I'm from another planet. I don't know how this hits you. But for us, this was a pivotal moment. Now, there's a lot behind this. There's a lot that we're going to show you about how this works, or as you say, Mac, that unlocks this for people. But what else did we find as we started to dig into this?
Yeah, so we started to find that, again, we thought we were doing all the right things, but one of the things that we were doing wrong is that we were ignoring a big factor. And the factor that we were ignoring is that decision making is not done by one person nowadays, right? In fact,
Yep.
You can see 5.4 here on the screen. Buying decisions typically require and involve 5.4 team members or people or decision makers in the organization. Some studies even show now closer to 7. I mean, I would never purchase something my own without consulting Dave or without consulting Suzanne or other team members, right? And so the way in which we were marketing at the time, marketing automation, email, trade shows, all this stuff didn't address the fact that there are more people that we need to be communicating to besides that one person who we thought was the key decision maker.
Yeah, so folks, this was the epiphany for us. How people communicate has changed, especially in B2B. I think you can see that in B2C, but it's also true in B2B. It is so fundamental. I would go as far as to say it's changed planet Earth. Now, you may think I'm being hyperbolic, I'm exaggerating, but if you're here with us and you're knowing and you're feeling inside of you that what used to work, well, just doesn't work anymore, it's because of this. I know it sounds cliche, but I don't want you to miss this point. What we were missing, frankly, what most companies are missing right now is that you're not where your people are. You're not hanging out online. You're not publishing content and engaging them where your prospects and customers are. You're trying to reach them in places that they're just not hanging out anymore. The world has changed and you're missing out. In a moment, I'm going to show you data that illustrates what happened when we started to make this change. That's why Mackenzie's here and is going to be sharing from our story. All right. What else happened, Mac, that we did at this time?
Yeah. And so, we're telling the back end story because we want you to understand where we came from. And so to quickly wrap this up and kind of dive into our next section, which is the framework and what actually worked, here's what we ended up doing. So we decided to take all the stuff that was working, right? We looked at it, we analyzed, figured what wasn't working, what was working, and we decided to turn it on its head to take advantage of how the world has shifted. And so we were doing many things in the process that honestly required a lot of time and manual energy. Suzanne, you're out there, all the manual work that it required to do all these different pieces of what was working. And so we poured it all into an internal secret project, which at the time we called Da Vinci, right? And it was just a way for us to take all the manual things that we were doing, all the things that were working, and honestly make it easier on us so that we could start to benefit from these things that were working. And so it's interesting because now it's responsible for driving many companies out there, right?
Yep. And so here's the framework behind that, folks. If you're taking notes, I'm going to have this up on the screen in a few more throughout the session today in a few minutes. So I use this illustration, what you see here on the screen, to articulate what Mackenzie just talked about around how we started to automate and mechanize this whole process. What's that?
Automize, which means
automize, yeah.
Mechanize.
New word, yeah. Now, this is the model. Don't be deceived by the simplicity of it, okay? Let me walk you through very quickly. If you're taking notes, write these things down. Here are the 4 things that you need to do in order to implement this in your business. Number 1, you need to decide if you're most comfortable in sharing content in words, video, or audio. We call that modality. Which modality are you most comfortable in? When I did this with my friend Dave, Homeless Dave, right? I started with words. I added pictures, and eventually we got to video. Now, that's a simple personal example, but the same is true whether you're in B2B or B2C marketing. Pick the modality. That's step 1. 2, you need to provide content from the perspective of the viewer that's valuable. If you've tried content before as an engagement tool and it hasn't worked, it's likely because of this. We found that what I was publishing about my friend Dave had value in some way for the reader. I didn't anticipate it having that much value, but it clearly touched a nerve, and you have to do the same thing in your business. And then you need to share that content. You need to publish it multiple times a day on the small number of platforms where your customer and your prospect's attention is high, the cost to engage there is low. And that's what we call attention arbitrage, right? High attention, low cost to play. And if that sounds weird, I'm going to describe that to you here in a moment, how to figure that out. And then you need to know how to siphon engagement, because you can have all this engagement, people reading, but if it's not turning into leads, conversations, opportunities for your business, what's the point, right? So this is the omni-channel model. So I forget who asked that in the chat. The reason why we call it omni-channel is because you need to be in the optimal channel for your audience, doing it in a way that's going to resonate with that particular group of prospects and customers, and then siphon that engagement to turn it into business opportunities. So let me get as concrete as possible here. Mac, let's talk about results. How has this helped you?
That's what everyone's here for. So what happens when you do this? These are the kind of results that we started to experience. So just for some framework, we were at about 79 leads per month prior to doing any of this. And again, those leads were, people felt like we were scraping the barrel. They weren't doing anything for us. And using this framework, we're able to get to 496 leads per month last year. So from 79 to 496. Now, here's the deal. This year, obviously, we're in a pandemic. You're probably like, well, what are you doing this year? Yeah, so this year we're at 325 leads per month with no trade shows, with no traditional ways of selling, right? So are you getting this? We went from in 2015 when we started this 79 to 2020 in a pandemic, 325 leads per month. That are even more importantly, know who we are and who want to be engaged with us too. And that's what we're here to teach you.
Mac, I see Michael, and I want to just hit this real quick because I know this is something on people's minds. He says, I've always been anti-Facebook and social media. Now I find myself way behind colleagues that have a huge social network and are killing it because of that. Is it too late for me to engage and grow? If not, how do I do that? Michael, thank you for being brave enough to ask that question. That's what we're going to answer for you today. Stick around. Thank you for being brave. I know there are others that feel the same way. Give a yes in the chat if you resonate with Michael, please, over on LinkedIn and in Zoom. So these are the leads, right? What about show me the money?
Yeah, more important, right? Leads are good, but we want revenue, right? That's our final dictator, your revenue. And so these are our sales results year over year. Again, this is with going through a crazy pandemic, right, in the world. This is with all the challenges that COVID has brought to us. So we are up 112% in revenue. We have increased our logos or number of clients by 33% from previous years, right? And so this is here to show you that not only does it deliver leads, but more importantly, it delivers the revenue, the right types of customers that can actually use your product or service or whatever it is that you bring them.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to point out here, folks are probably seeing the difference between 33 and 112. So yes, more clients, but they are worth more.
Yes, higher value.
Right. Exactly. Mac, you're on mute.
Yep. So at that, it's interesting because like I said, you want to hear from people who have done it themselves, but you're also probably thinking, well, okay, you were able to do it, right? You also created this framework. Have you been able to have other people do it, or have other people been able to get the same sort of results? And so here you can see Brian Gulad on the screen. And as Dave mentioned in the beginning, we were in a series, right? He was actually, I think, the person who kicked off the series. And so if you missed it, you can always go back and relearn it. But yes, you can see here by reading it, I'm not going to read it to you, but just look at that last sentence, right? Convert that interest into over 6 figures in sales already. So yes, other people can do it, and yes, you can do it too. And so what we did, we want to bring to you all the information. We actually took Brian's situation, we described what he did and the results that he got, and we actually put it into a case study. So if you are interested in reading Brian's case study, I want you to go over to the chat, whether that's here in Zoom or in LinkedIn, drop the word Brian for us. Brian's also a good friend. He's become someone that we look up to, that a lot of people in our network know. So drop the word Brian. And like I said, we have a training session that you can go back and rewatch as well.
Now, here's another example. What happens when you start to do this? If you look on the screen, this is from a text message that I received, okay? When you do this right, people will start to come to you, whether that's emailing you, calling you on the phone, texting you like you see here. And using what you're learning today, folks, it's a conversation. It's not a pitch fest. You don't have to pitch them. By the point that they reach out, like this gentleman here says, Dave, I think I'd like to employ your services. They already know, like, and trust you. And we're going to show you how you do that. If you're the salesperson yourself, handle that deal. If you're the business leader, you're the entrepreneur, you're the sales manager, field the inquiry, and then hand it off to somebody on your team. There's actually a very important strategy there that we can show you that's very helpful in doing that. But this is what starts to happen when this is done right. And what we have found now is that omni-channel social selling is the key that we were missing to creating more leads and sales. And the reason why I put this picture here, it's not to show off with my boat or in a Lamborghini or anything like that, but it's to let you know that when I smile on the outside now, I'm confident and happy on the inside, because I know that what we're doing is predictable and scalable. Go ahead, Mac.
And Dave, do you remember what I texted you on Thanksgiving this year?
I sure do.
Okay,
you said you're my favorite boss. I'm so glad I've started working with you. No.
That is not what I said.
I know.
What did I tell you about smiling? I said, now this year, when you're with your family on Thanksgiving, and even in a pandemic, you're
Yep.
smiling on the outside, but are you smiling on the inside? And what was your answer to that?
Heck yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, you know, I'm sure you're thinking that's great for you, Mackenzie and Dave. You're not here for that, folks, right? What you want to be able to do is apply this for yourself. And that's what also brings me significant personal satisfaction is now we've been able to share this with thousands of people just like you, help them take this journey. And that's super rewarding for not only our organization, but also for me personally. So that's the framework. Now you understand the big picture. Let's start to break this apart for you. Okay. First, we're going to show you how this strategy took us from broke to growing. Okay. We're going to start there. Number one. Number two, why we're convinced that anybody can do this and clone or copy this process for their business once you understand this one particular key. And then third, and you hear this all the time, Mackenzie, you know, folks say, okay, I understand that this will work. I know that I can do it, but where am I going to attract people? How am I going to get eyeballs? How am I going to get prospects? We're going to show you how to tap into a virtually unlimited stream or source. Okay. So that you never run out of new people to bring in. Is everyone ready? Give me a yes in the chat. Zoom. Mackenzie's ready. I want to see the LinkedIn folks. Drop the yeses over there. All right. So we're going to start with how this strategy took us from broke to growing in a recession. And I promised you I would put this back up on the screen here. This is the framework, right? Take out your pen and paper and take notes because we're going to start with talking about this modality aspect. It's very important that you understand how this can take you from where you are now, so call it broke in our case, to succeeding. Okay. We're going to start there and then we're going to look at value.
Yeah. So one of the things that we did, we discovered this framework and we wanted to invest in content, right? We're like, well, we know this is important. And we even launched our own podcast. It was called Pixels and Ink. But if you've done a podcast, you know this is not an easy task. Has anyone experienced that? Dave, do you remember that?
Of course. Yep.
And we started doing things like creating videos. Here you can see Dave on the screen. But again, not easy, very time consuming. They work, but again, not easy. We even, like I told you a little bit earlier before, started writing tons of content, right? And so this actually continues to still be a high performing piece for us. We wrote a piece of content that talks about how you can use Facebook and direct mail connected and how you can get, increase your leads with those results. But writing an ebook like this and all the resources that come with it, the time, energy, tools, all that kind of stuff, it costs us months of time and tens of thousands of dollars, around $25,000. And so I'm curious, have any of you in the audience, I'm talking to you on LinkedIn, I'm talking to you in Zoom, have you tried to create your own content, ebooks, case studies? If you have, I want you to go over there and say either yes or content. Who has tried to write content?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of yeses. And you folks probably know it's time consuming and expensive, just like you said, Mac. So what happened?
Yeah, so again, all these things worked, right? When you put in the work, it does work. But then you put it out there and you're like, this is the best piece of content that we've done before. And then no one responds. You spend all this time and energy and money, you share it, and literally it's like crickets. You're like,
yeah.
So no one liked what I just
crickets.
did. Yeah, exactly. And so we try to figure out, what's up with this? Why is this happening? Again, we're trying to figure it out here together, And so we figured out that if we could understand the signals that are already working, right? If we could actually look out there and find, this is a piece of content that people are loving, that it's resonating with them. Could we use that and use what's already working in our marketing? And so let's kind of break that down for them.
Yeah. So again, this is how we went from, let's say, 0 to 100. Okay. So here's step one of this process. I remember I was laying in bed actually when we uncovered this, doing where I do my best work, I guess, my thinking. And so I went over to Facebook, and like many of you are doing these days, and I typed in the word direct mail up here. See it in the upper left? Most of the time I would go and search for a friend, but that particular night I put in the word direct mail. That's step one. And what I realized when I hit enter or return is that I would then see content that had been shared by other people. You see this here about direct mail. And what I noticed, let me get my little pen here, is I could see the number of engagements, the number of reactions. And so like this one has 69 here, right? This one has 68. This one, for whatever reason, has 704. This one has 947. And so suddenly for me, what I realized is, Facebook is giving me a subtle signal that this content for whatever reason, is resonating with the audience. Did you just get that? If you look at it through the eyes of a producer, all of a sudden you think, huh, this is interesting. Something's happening here. So I ran over to LinkedIn, or I rolled over to LinkedIn, right? And I typed in direct mail, and I found the same thing is true there. That if instead of looking at this as a consumer of the content and you think about what's already working, how do I produce the same kind of content? You can get signals from what's already working by looking at these networks. So I remember the next morning I ran into my office. This is when we still all had a corporate headquarters, and we all met face to face. And I ran over to the team and I said, look, folks, is there a way that we can use this info to either write content that's very similar because we already know it's working? Look, here's the proof. Or can we think of a way to actually use their content, like hijack it or piggyback it in some way? And I remember, Mackenzie, has a picture of you, right? I remember everyone looked at me like, what the heck are you talking about? How would we use someone else's content to drive awareness for us? Well, if you're taking notes, let me show you what I found. You can go and look up this service after the call today, but it's called Sniply. Here's what it does. Very simple. Write it down, SNIPLY. What it allows you to do is take any piece of content, an article that you find, and superimpose, let me grab my pen, superimpose this banner with a button at the bottom of the content. And then you can share that piece of content through email, through social, through any of your communication mechanisms, so that people can read that high value content. And when they finish reading it, they can go over to your website. Do you get that? Does that make sense? Here, let me show you an example. Let's say you find this blog post, and who's the last name I see here? Lynn, right? Lynn, you say, you know what? This is germane to my business. This is something my audience needs. You can superimpose your call to action, your banner here at the bottom, and now start using this content, sharing this valuable content with a siphon back to your website, back to you. Give me a yes if you just had a light bulb moment over in Zoom and LinkedIn. Give me a yes.
Yep. And so as Dave said, what we started to do is we started to take this content, right, that he just showed you that we were using, someone else produced, it was already resonating, we added our call to action, and we started sharing this content that we just hijacked or piggybacked. I like that one, the piggyback, Dave.
Yeah.
And so we would share it on email. Again, we'd share it in social. We'd share it multiple times a day. And we started to find that we could siphon engagement, get traction of a subset of people who were wanting to read this article, again, who found this article valuable, and we could convert them into leads for us. So here we are spending hours, tens of thousands of dollars producing content. And then we find this other way where we can use content that's already been created, it's already performing, and siphon engagement for ourselves.
Exactly. And let me show you one of our favorite shortcuts for this, folks. Write this down as well. BuzzSumo. You can see it here at the top of the screen, BuzzSumo. Again, I was thinking about this at that point, thinking, hey, shoot, it would be great if there was like a search engine where I could go and I could type in a topic and it could go to all the social channels and give me all of these things in one place. So it makes it faster to figure out which content, which articles are already working. And so one night I happened to find this service called BuzzSumo. It does exactly that. You can go and type a word like direct mail, and it'll go and it'll find content that's working. Whoops. Let me grab my pen. Find content like this that's working, and then give you the indication over here as to how well it is doing across different social channels. So what I did, like every good business owner, entrepreneur, I said, I got to invest in our business. I pulled out the credit card and bought the service. There is a free level, which all of you can use, but it allows you to unlock so much potential for just a few bucks that turned in eventually into millions of dollars worth of pipeline opportunities and closed won deals for Mindfire. Now, I know when I show people this technique, and I'm sure there's some of you here who think that, you think, you know what, I don't need to piggyback on someone else's content. I'm super creative. I can write this stuff. I always, smile and nod when I see people say that because it is true, but maybe you've heard me say this before. You can always tell who the pioneers are because they have arrows in their back and they're lying face down in the dirt. What does that mean to you and to me as marketers and salespeople here? What it means is don't try to recreate. Why don't you model what's already working? Why don't you leverage what's already working? Even if you think that, hey, look, we can create content and maybe you can. Why don't you use this strategy to see what's already working to inform the content that you're going to create? Does that make sense, everyone? Give me a yes in the chat if you're understanding that.
Yeah, so as Dave puts the framework back up on the screen here, this is exactly how you, as a marketer, as a sales professional, are going to accelerate your results here in 1 and 2, right? That modality and delivering value. And then how you're going to take that content, you're going to share it across all these different channels, and then you are going to siphon engagement. Again, that can be leads and revenue for you.
So here are the 3 steps again, real quick. Step 1, find content that's already working. Step 2, hijack it, piggyback is maybe a better word, Mackenzie, by adding your call to action. Step 3, share that, just as you said. And all of a sudden, what started to happen for us is a trickle, and then a stream, and then a flow, and then a deluge of inbound activity, dozens, hundreds, thousands of conversations and leads like you see here on the screen pouring in.
Yeah, and here's this one really warms my heart. So we told you in the beginning, if you stay till the end, we're going to give you a great piece of content, a guide that actually Joanne wrote from doing this. And so she's actually learned the value of sharing content in the ways that we've been describing it to you so far. And in taking that content and then sharing it in the optimal way, which again, we're going to just talk about more here in a second. But I want you to read this. Yeah, thank you, Dave, with that pen. I want you to see what's happening to her. She says to us in a message, "Thank you. I sent out 4 proposals last week and booked 3 great meetings. I am way more confident in front of a camera." So she's taken this process, she's applied it to her business, and it's also getting tangible results by doing this.
You know, Mac, I see that we've got a lot of questions. Keep those questions coming in. Let's hold those questions, Mac, until we get through the material, if that's okay. But folks, keep asking those questions. Please keep giving us that feedback. We're going to answer everything for you, but I want to make sure we get through all of the material. So that's the first secret. That's the first unlock. The second is now I want to talk to you about how we're convinced that anybody can copy what we're doing once you understand this unlock, once you understand this process. And so as we worked the process, what we found, as you said, Mackenzie, was that even our own technology was not sufficient to run this framework. And as you alluded to, we started investing in this side project, side technology, if you will, that we codenamed DaVinci. I had that on the screen a moment ago. But as I mentioned to you, the problem that we ran into, and the reason why we started investing in this, was that we were finding that there were workflows like the one you see here on the screen, and we can go into that in more detail if you want to know more about that, that really worked well in this process, that really drove results, but it was very time consuming to execute using this OptiChannel framework. Here's just one example. So what we did is we created this technology to help us take advantage of this OptiChannel opportunity in a way that we were unable to previously. And so here are the steps that it takes you through. Here's how we decided to create this to help us do what we needed to do. All right. And it's a completely different model. So stay open-minded for just a moment as I walk through this. Step 1 is we decided, look, the software needs to help us zero in on a target market. We need to define a target group of people that we want to go after. We need the software to help us find content that market is interested in. Step 3, we need it to push traffic to that content. And step 4, we need it to siphon engagement. And so what we thought is, look, this is taking a lot of different resources. It's taking a lot of different people. What if we could do this in a way where even if folks didn't have technical experience, marketing experience on our team, they could still execute this process? This would help us leapfrog even further. So that's what I want to show you. I want to give you a peek behind the curtain. I'm going to drop right into the software right now. Give you just a very high level view of how it does that. Would everyone like to see that? Give me a yes in the chat. I'm actually going to turn off my camera so I don't distract you as I'm going back and forth here. If you would like to see that, let me show you how the software does that. Drop a yes if you're ready to see that. Let me get inside of DaVinci here. All right, so you should be able to see it on the screen right now. Let me know my mouse moving around. Can everyone see that? Let me know there in the chat. And so what I want to do now is I want to walk you through those 4 steps in the strategy, okay? Here's step 1, where we define the target market. So we come over here to My Markets, and what I'm going to do just for this example here is I'm going to create a new target market. And let's see, I'm going to call it direct mail target market, since I know we have a lot of direct mail folks here. And I'm going to tell the system to find content that is related to direct mail. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm telling the system, go find me some content that's related to direct mail, so that I can then, in step 2, hijack that content to be able to create engagement and siphon leads back to me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh, and then let's go inside of this target market right here. And as you can see, it's come back with a lot of content all related to direct mail. Can you see that here? These are articles that the system has found that have engagement. And what I often will do is I'll sort over here by the different engagement tallies. So I can see, for example, this one is doing fairly well on Facebook. And I've sorted by Facebook here. I can also sort by total engagements. Can you see this here? So this will give you a sense for how well content is doing across the web, across social. Okay, so without having to create your own content, you have an idea of A, what kind of content is working, you know, headlines, imagery, thematic content, etc. And B, now you can also use that content. Let me show you. Let's just find one simple example. Let's see here. Let's use this one right here. Okay, so when I click on that, it's going to open up from our friends over at Brand United. This is your brain on direct mail. And let's say you read through this, and for your particular needs, this is a good article. Okay, let's say you have a commercial print house, you do print and mail, and you want to talk to your tribe about direct mail and siphon some of that engagement. So let's pretend that's your scenario. I'm going to come back here, right here, and I'm going to say add a call to action to that. Okay, so what we're telling the system to do is I want to add that call to action overlay on top of this content, okay, so that we can start to siphon some of that engagement over to us. And we're going to pick this one right here. Actually, let me show you what that looks like first, so you have an idea. Here's the preview, okay? So this is that same piece of content. We now have a unique URL for that piece of content with our call to action overlay down here. Do you see that? So in this example, I've added an overlay that I already had created that's a report about the future of direct mail, and the reader can then download a study by clicking this button, okay? So it's pretty congruent with this content up here. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, let's go ahead and launch that. And that looks fine. And what the system is going to do now, part of the magic behind the system here is in step 3 of this process, it's going to actually create an omni-channel campaign to be able to help us drive traffic to that, okay? So that's what I'm going to show you now. I've just shown you, first of all, how to define your target market. We made the direct mail target market. I showed you step 2, which is how to hijack some content for that. And now step 3, I'm going to show you how the system actually creates a campaign, like all of the elements that you need, all the omni-channel elements that you need to drive traffic to that piece of content, okay? And the reason why you're doing that is so you can siphon engagement from that content and turn it into leads, okay? So let's come back here. And you can see the system has created 2 campaigns for us. One is a drive traffic. This is the kind of omni-channel campaign that's going to push people to that piece of content. And this is a capture lead campaign. This is the one that's going to siphon the engagement, okay? So first, let me show you the drive traffic. We load that up. And remember, the system has done all of this on its own already behind the scenes for us, okay? This blueprint, that's what we call this, a blueprint. It's an omni-channel blueprint that allows you to do this more quickly and easily. This blueprint is designed to drive traffic to a piece of content. And for this purpose here, we're using the one that we just found a second ago, okay? But it could be anything. But in this case, I'm showing you how to use this one. Now, what's cool about this is, check this out. These are the different omni-channel touches that you can use to drive traffic to it. This is an email. And look at this. It's already written most of the email for us. So, of course, you need to come in here and say, you know, thanks for reading this. Oops, can't type today. Love, who do we have here on the line? Just pick on you, Brian. Love Brian. Okay, so you can go in and customize the email. You can hover over any of these areas. They're all editable. You can change the image. But what's really helpful here, what saves a lot of time, is that the system has gone in and pulled out things like the subject line, the pre-header, the image, the text here, so that you have like 80% of it already done. And of course, you can also do the same thing in Facebook. You can do the same thing in LinkedIn. We don't have time to go into all of that today. but the system is going to help you drive traffic. That's the name of this blueprint here. Drive traffic to that piece of content. Now, as attentive salespeople, we need to know when certain things are happening to that content. So the system makes it very easy to say, hey, notify me when somebody's opening up an email, okay? Notify me when somebody's visiting this piece of content. When somebody's actually reading it, let me know, okay? And that's what these alerts do here for you. Very helpful, folks, for siphoning the engagement from that piece of content to turn it into something actionable, okay? Now, the last thing I need to do is just schedule when I want this sequence to start and who I want it to target, okay? So if I have a list, a CSV file, or maybe somebody from my database, a list of people from my database, I can say, all right, send it to that group. We could call this our clients, and you pick it from here. This is a list of all the people you've uploaded, set the date and time, and you're good to go. Does that make sense? Now, when people go to this URL, when you're driving traffic to it, let me show you something real quick here. Let me pull it up. Here it is, right? People are going to read this content. They're going to like it. And when they get to the bottom, they're going to see your call to action overlay, and they're going to say, huh, that's interesting. I want to find out more about that. So they click on that button. And what it does is now it takes them to a landing page that you're using to siphon engagement from that piece of content. Does that make sense? Give me an X in the chat if you understand that. We've come from this content here. You have your overlay. You now have something that's thematically related to that content, driving them to a landing page where, in this example, they can download an ebook. I'm just going to do that real quick here for you, just so you see what happens here. And now it says, thank you for sending in your contact information. Check your email to get the ebook. Now, the system, I'm going to show you, has done all of this for me behind the scenes. Let me show you where that is. Sure, let's leave. Here's that campaign right here. It's called a capture lead. This is the one that in step 4 is going to siphon the engagement. Okay, so step 1, we defined the target market. Step 2, I showed you how to hijack some content. Step 3, I showed you how you're driving traffic to that content. And now step 4, you're going to siphon engagement by using a landing page here that's set up to capture information from the interested viewer. Okay, so here's the landing page we just saw. I can come in here. Let's just remove that. Let's say we want to say, welcome to your ebook. I don't know. That's a silly example, right? But I'm just giving you an idea of how you edit the content here. And similar to what we did in the email, we can add more text here. Just hover over those areas and start typing. We can change out the form over here. There's a variety of forms that we can pick from, all with the intent of making it very simple to siphon engagement from the reader. Okay, now that's the welcome page. Here's the thank you page. Remember, we saw this a second ago, so we can change all of this stuff here. Let's add another exclamation mark. We're super happy today. And that's basically it there. Okay, so I'm breezing through the setup of the landing page. That's a very, very important part of the process, because what you're doing is you're now taking readers, turning them into people you can communicate with. And the way you can communicate with them is numerous. You can pick up the phone and call them, or the system has a built-in email sequence that they can start to get. In other words, they can be dripped on by an email sequence here. So as soon as they submit the form in that landing page, you've now siphoned that engagement, and now you're going to nurture them with an omni-channel drip sequence here. Does that make sense? And just like I showed you a second ago, all of this is editable. You know, now I'm going to pick a different name here. I'm going to put, who should I put? Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for letting me use your name there. And you get the idea, right? You can add any number of emails, change the subject line, change the image. All of it is 80% done for you. You just got to go in and configure the rest. Now, I didn't show you this, but you can change. I think I see somebody. Yeah, I think I see someone asking this already. You can change the layout. You know, there's different templates, a variety of different layouts that you can use. You can even make it look, you know, handwritten, very simple. You can change who it's coming from. There's a lot of settings that allow you to customize it. Or if you like getting into the HTML and you have a layout that you want to use that's custom, you can also do that here through the asset library. You load that asset, and then you can use it there in any of your emails. Now, since the whole point of this is to be able to engage with people as they interact with the campaign, similar to what I showed you a minute ago in the Drive Traffic campaign, here you can get notified when people visit that landing page. Let's say we want to send it to our sales team. Of course, when a lead is created, when somebody submits that form, we need to know that. And this is where you can turn all of that on. Okay. So what I just showed you here in just a few minutes, and I'm flying by all of this at a very high level. I showed you the strategy around, number one, how you create a market that is going to collect content for you. This is basically a bucket of thematically related content that you know already works. And there's a lot of other options here. I don't have time to go into all of it, but that's the first thing we've done here. Second, I showed you how to hijack that content so you can start to then drive traffic to it with the campaigns that the system pretty much sets up for you in advance. And then fourthly, how you can start to siphon that engagement. In other words, take those passive anonymous viewers and turn them into people you can engage with by using this capture lead campaign here to turn those people into someone you can work with. Does that make sense? All right, everybody, let me know if that makes sense to you. I want to make sure you're following along here. Thank you, Mac, for fielding questions during that as well.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to introduce you to a few people here who are applying this process. This is John, who's using this process. Normally, he says prior to using this, he would have around 29 folks that he would siphon to sign up for a webinar. Just hit 100. That's pretty cool. Now, the other thing I want you to remember as you think about how you're doing this and using this kind of process is that you have to constantly be putting value out into the world, finding those pieces of articles, writing content, engaging with people in social. And you have to keep doing that even when you think people aren't listening. Here's an example. I'm not going to read it all for you. You can go back and look at this later, okay? But here is a 6-figure sale that we had nurtured through this whole process that I didn't even know we had. Look at what this person says. Your random acts of kindness are why we went with you without even discussing price. Now you men and women, you know those aren't random acts of kindness anymore. There's a very intentional strategy behind that. You are your brand. People don't understand that. We didn't even question price because you had my trust, and therefore he mentions his partner's name's trust as well. That's what happens when you do this right, folks. When you do this and you apply it and you consistently build this muscle. In a few minutes, we're going to get to your questions. Don't leave yet. I want to answer all of those questions for you. I want to make sure we get to all of them, but I want to show you one more very, very important part of this framework. A lot of times, and you hear this all the time, Mackenzie, right? I understand. I see now how this can work for me, but I don't have very many people in my database. I'm not pulling in enough fresh names into my ecosystem. Let me show you how you can solve that. Now, a lot of you may not realize, but right now, LinkedIn is a really hot platform for helping you, B2B and B2C marketers, find and engage your customers. Let me show you what I mean. They're giving a lot of free eyeballs to help you solve this problem if you know what you're doing, all right? So as an example, let's say this is your existing database that you're sending through a process like what we've described to you today, right? What I'm talking about is you need to bring in new people, and LinkedIn can help you do that. The problem is that a lot of us, including me, when you first think of LinkedIn, I thought of, a glorified resume or a place for folks who are looking for jobs or for students. I'm ashamed to admit that that's what I thought. It is that, but it has become a lot more. What we realized is that LinkedIn is giving away huge exposure to people like you and to me for free when you know what to do with it. And so once we figured this out, we went all in on LinkedIn, right, Mackenzie? Because
yes,
we learned
we
learned what we were able to do is siphon that free engagement. The free is the best part for many of you, right? So let me show you exactly what I mean. There's 4 pieces to this. I'm going to bring all 4 of them up here on the screen. We don't have time to go into all of them, but I just want to make sure you understand what 4 things you need to do in LinkedIn. Number 1, you must get your profile. That's like your homepage on LinkedIn. You have to recraft that in a very specific way with your client in mind. And there's very specific tactics that we can show you on what you need to do that. That's number 1. It all starts there. Second, you got to publish content. You've heard me talk about that today. You've heard Mackenzie talk about that today. That's the second piece that you must do. Thirdly, you need to connect and establish trust with decision makers in your target market. And there's a very specific way that you can do that. And then fourthly, you need to engage in conversation. This is social media after all, right? You need to discover and share in conversations that create value and grow relationships. And when you do this, men and women, when you do these things all together, when you do all four of these, this is the social selling framework. And this is when you will start to be blessed with organic reach from LinkedIn. Now, what I did to illustrate this for you is I went back and I pulled a couple of months of just my social engagement. And I want to draw your attention to this column here. See where it says 964,000 views? That's 964,000 free. Yep, exactly. Mackenzie's pointing to her eyes. Free eyeballs. These are all organic posts, meaning we didn't pay a dime for them. The market value of what you can do, the market value of what this is worth is $48,236.70. How do we come up with that number? If we were to go to LinkedIn and say, hey, we want to pay you to get in front of 964,000 people, this is what it would cost. And so I'm using this example, men and women, so you can understand the value of the free advertising that you can tap into. Now think about this. If you run a sales team, what if you had each person on your sales team doing this? Think about how this would compound. Or if you run your organization, think about your leadership team. What if you had multiple people doing this? Multiple people getting their profiles dialed in, publishing content on a regular basis, connecting and engaging in this way. And you might wonder, Dave, Mackenzie, why on earth is LinkedIn giving us all of this free traffic, free exposure? Let me train you on one more concept, then I want to get to all your questions. It has to do with this idea of a content-saturated platform versus a content-deficient platform. Very simply, let me break it down for you. There are platforms where there is more content than there are viewers. Does that make sense? More content than there are viewers. That means it's hard to get your content in front of your viewers. They're saturated. An example right now is Facebook as an example. Instagram is another example. It's not great for organic reach. But on the other side of that, there are platforms where there are more viewers, there's more appetite, more demand than there is content. And that's where LinkedIn is right now. And that's why it's so important to become a student of this omni-channel philosophy so that you can understand where that attention, where there's attention, but there's a cost, a low barrier to entry to be able to capture that attention at a great price. That's what we call attention arbitrage. LinkedIn is an example of where there's more viewers than there is content. So what happens is that when you understand this, when you understand this part of the algorithm, you'll come to see, and this is backed by data from LinkedIn, less than 1% of people are posting content on LinkedIn right now. Less than 1%. What does that mean? Huge opportunity for you, folks. I can't underscore that enough. You have if you start posting content, you immediately join that 1%. Now, what happens when you do this right? People will start thanking you for your marketing. Send me more emails, please, said no one ever, except they will when you do it right. This is somebody that interacted with me, happened to say, hey, we're huge fans. Keep doing the amazing work you're doing. Your emails, in this case, are so expiring, and I'm glad to be connected with you. There's somebody I didn't even know was being touched by all of what we're doing. And look what she says back to me, right? That's why it's so important to keep doing what you're doing. I'm vocal about my gratitude, but many people aren't. I promise you, you're having a profound effect on people. That's what this system, that's what this philosophy will help you do. Now, if you're scared of publishing content, I want to give you one more tip, and then we're going to get to those questions, I promise. If you're scared of publishing content, comments, meaning commenting on someone else's posts, will also help you get to your goals. Here's an example of Rachel. She says, I've been calling on a design firm. I haven't done any work with them yet, who recently did a post, meaning the firm posted something, showcasing some great political posters that they designed. I commented on it, and I got an RFQ. I want you to realize that even well-written comments are going to get you the attention that you might be looking for. Comments are a very easy way to start. I told you only 1% of people publish content. A little under 10% on LinkedIn are dropping comments. So again, huge opportunity. Here's another example. This is from Chavi. She says, I have a call tomorrow with the kind of potential client I've dreamed about for years, right? And so I eat our own dog food, of course. I drop her a comment. I say, how'd you land the call? Look what she says. Surprisingly enough, an executive from the company reached out after I commented on his LinkedIn post. Folks, I want to encourage you. Do this. You'll find people like Ira here. Mac, what does Ira say about this process?
Yeah, I mean, you all can read it on the screen, but the point is this: when you work this process correctly, right, this methodology, these 4 social selling steps within this model, here's what's going to happen, right? Ira says 100% of my sales in the last 2 months came from LinkedIn. That's how
and we
it
put
works.
June and July because that was kind of the heat of the pandemic, at least at that point in time, right?
Exactly. Is this making sense? Are you getting this? How much this is working for other people?
And so one more thing, folks, I want to remind you, always be providing value in your communication. Always be engaging your tribe, your community. Continue to publish even when you think no one is listening. Okay, I'm bringing this example back up on the screen again. This is an example of a deal, Mackenzie, that turned into a $150,000 or $160,000 new client.
Yep.
Right now, I don't know, folks, if that's a big deal for you or if that's a little deal for you or if that's a mid-sized deal. The point is, when you do this, you're planting seeds. You don't know how far along those seeds have grown. How many 6-figure deals are you ignoring because you're not watering those seeds, cultivating them in this way? Does that make sense? I hope everyone's getting this. I want to get to the questions now. I want to ask you here, folks, do you think this could work for you? We've been at this about 70 minutes now. Promised you 90 minutes of training. I want to get into your questions now in real time. Do you think this process could work for you? If you did what I showed you in the first example here, in the first part of the training, I showed you how to use this OptiChannel framework, the 4 pieces, right? Or in secret number 2, I showed you how you can create a workflow that's going to help you engage your audience and then siphon that engagement. Or if you learn how to use LinkedIn to bring you new eyeballs and get people into your ecosystem, do you think this could work for you? Give me a yes. Drop me a yes in the chat. I got to see my LinkedIn friends and I want to see my Zoom friends. Do you think this could work for you? Yeah, that's what it's all about, folks. Yes, keep those yeses coming in. Mac, I know we have a ton of questions. Let's help folks if they would like to learn more. I want to give you some very specific next steps that you can take that we can help you with. Mackenzie and her team were gracious enough. Again, a lot of this has fallen under Mackenzie. They have agreed to put some time on the calendar over the next week where we'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one about how you can use this system, this philosophy, this process to grow your leads and sales. There's a lot of different types of companies with us here. It's hard in this one-to-many kind of communication style to be able to address everyone's unique situation. So we want to give you an opportunity to talk one-on-one if that would be helpful to you. Of course, there's no obligation. We're not asking you for anything. There's no cost. If you want to sign up for one of these spots, we have 4 people who are going to help set these up. The spots are limited. We don't have infinite resources. Mac, why don't you go ahead and drop that URL into the chat, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Yeah, you got it? Yep. And folks, grab one of those spots if you think this could help you. If you're a business owner, a leader, a manager in sales and marketing, and you want to take control of your destiny, you realize what used to work just isn't working anymore. If you're looking to get that kind of help, we want to talk to you, all right? If you're looking for additional free training, we've got all of those resources that I showed you at the beginning. We're happy to give you those videos, action-packed, information-packed sessions. But if you're ready to accelerate and put this into practice, on this session, we can help you get clear about exactly what are you trying to do and what specific steps should you take to put this into place so that you can get the best possible set of results that you need for you or your organization in the shortest amount of time. Does that make sense, everyone? Thank you, Mackenzie, for agreeing to put that time on the calendar. Again, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. I give you permission to turn me down. We're going to go into questions here, answer all of the incredible questions that have come in. mindfiremarketing.com, little short form there. Fill that out if you want some time with us. And you really, at this point, with everything that I've given you, have two options. Number one is, take this information in, don't do anything with it, and miss this opportunity to talk to Mackenzie and her team. Guys, if you've been inspired by this, wait till you talk to Mackenzie one-on-one. I'm not joking. If you've been inspired by this, wait till you talk to Mackenzie one-on-one. Don't miss that opportunity to figure out how we can help you take the next step. So the other option you have is actually schedule that session, take charge of your situation, your marketing, your leads, and your sales. And, think of it like this. Just say, Dave, Mackenzie, I'm not sure if this is going to work for my organization, but I want to see. I want to find out. mindfiremarketing.com/yes. If you're worried that you don't think this will work for you because you don't have any content, we've shown you how you can get around that. If you don't have any data, if like that barrel picture that you showed, Mackenzie, if you folks feel like your database is empty, we can help you. If you're not technical, if you're not a marketer, if you don't want to be salesy, we've shown you how you can overcome those situations. Maybe you think you're too small, you're too big. It's okay. Let's talk. We have multiple ways. You have multiple ways that you can pull yourself out of that situation. So mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Mackenzie, let's take some questions.
Let's do it. Yeah. So thank you everyone who is going to go over there and sign up. Just really quickly before we go into your questions, there was a session that we talked about last weekend. That was last week in our series, number 7, I think it was, with CC Smith. One of the biggest takeaways from that session is that CC saw an opportunity, and instead of looking at it from afar, she took the reins in her business and decided that she was going to take it on and that she was going to take responsibility, because at the end of the day, she wanted to be responsible, roll up her sleeves, learn the tactics, and grow her business. So if you are looking to grow your business in this way, if you're looking to increase sales, it is a no risk call. But again, we want to be talking to you if you are a doer, if you are a go-getter, and you want to learn these things about how you can put it into practice. So with that, there are tons of questions. Let's go through them. So one of the most recent questions, Dave, coming from Michael, Michael, by the way, thank you so much for being so engaged with us. He said, so in my case, with more contacts on LinkedIn than on Facebook, I don't have one, or Instagram, should I concentrate on that and not worry about Facebook and other platforms, or what should I do?
So I think it depends. Everyone's situation is a little bit different. Who asked that question, Mackenzie?
Michael, yeah.
I would focus on LinkedIn, especially if you're just trying to get started and get ramped up here, because of the fact that it's a content deficient platform. You have a unique opportunity there. That said, Facebook also, when used correctly, is also a great opportunity. But in your particular situation, from what you described, I would put emphasis on LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Perfect. Another question, this has come up a few times, is hijacking content or piggybacking content. Is that legal? Is it okay? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a simple mechanism that still is driving traffic to the target URL. Meaning, if they have ads on that site, if they're making money from AdSense or anything like that, they're still getting that traffic. The technical way it's being done, it's an iframe, basically. So there's no loss of visibility for the owner of that content. Some publishers do opt out of being able to be iframed, which means that it's easy for them. If they say, hey, I don't want other people iframing my content, they can opt out of that. So it is legal. And it's something that a lot of content owners actually appreciate. You're sending more traffic to them. Matt,
exactly.
Let me bring one other thing here up on the screen.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I wanted to show everybody this as you're still going through the questions. This is somebody who emailed us after one of our training sessions, and I thought it was really appropriate for the group here. Nothing should go back to normal. Normal wasn't working. If we go back to the way things were, we will have lost the lesson. May we rise up and do better. This is from Matt. And the reason why I thought this was really helpful to share and inspiring is because, folks, right now you realize we're in a unique time. Social selling, what we've been describing to you, is not going to go away. If what used to work didn't work then, you think it's going to work now, or it's going to be effective in the future? Things are changing. You all know that. That's why it's so crucial to learn this philosophy. Mac, what's the next question we have?
Yeah, I just want to tell you one thing, just piggyback on that. Also, this is something that he said, and we all know is not going to go away, right? But here's the key, here's the unlock. In a year or 2 years from now, this is going to be a norm for everyone. Right now, only 1% of people are taking advantage of this. You're going to be doing this anyway. You're going to adopt it at some point in the future. Why not adopt it now when you have the opportunity to get in front of more people, to get free advertising, to get a jump start on doing it for your business? So again, you're going to adopt this anyways. We want to help you do it now, right? To take advantage of all the opportunity that's out there. Dave, a lot of people are asking, okay, I mean, 3 people asked about, well, how can I learn how to create content that actually gets engagement? How are you at Mindfire going to help us? Do you have a program? Lots of questions about that.
Okay, I can. I do have a few slides here I can go through quickly on that. So,
Let's
folks,
do that, yeah.
if you're wondering how we help specifically, so we have a couple things that we can do. I put those up here on the screen real quick. So we have software, as you saw. We have software that can help you build these Opti-channel campaigns. I did a little bit of a demo here for you earlier around how it helps you build these workflows, siphon engagement, manage the activity. There's a CRM, if you will, built into the software that allows you to manage all of the Opti-channel communication and all the different touch points. So software is one thing we can help with. Also, we help with training. We do this for large organizations. We do it for small organizations. There's some very big brands that have realized that Opti-channel is the future. We have a 6-week course. If you're interested in that.
Michael, this is what I was just telling you about. This is for you, Michael.
So there's 6 weeks of training around how to find the kind of content that we're talking about, how to use it, how to distribute that to create leads, how to build your LinkedIn profile to get it to where it needs to be as a magnetic attraction to your audience, how to write content that's actually going to motivate the action that you're looking for, and how to use what are called custom audiences. We haven't even had a chance to talk about that today. Okay. So if training is helpful to you, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Mac, if you don't mind, drop that in LinkedIn and in Zoom again. And folks, this training that I have here on the screen is really important because 81% of buyers are more likely to engage with you if you have a strong professional brand. And that starts with LinkedIn. 70%, you're 70% more likely to get an unexpected sale or an appointment if you're part of a LinkedIn group. You don't know how to do that. If you don't know how to take advantage of that opportunity, that's what we're going to show you. And reps that exceed quota get 74% more engagement on their posts than those that don't exceed quota. These things are real. If you feel like, well, because I haven't done it or because I've tried it and it hasn't worked, you can't discount that it's actually happening for folks. So we've got other testimonials and case studies here if you're interested in that. But this is the 6-week training. That's one thing that we can help you with. Thirdly, if you want us to help you run Opti-channel campaigns, we can do them with you. We can do them for you. So if you need help running these types of campaigns, we can do that. If you're in the print market, how many of my friends are printers here? I know there was quite a number. We actually have pre-written, highly engaging Opti-channel campaigns that are like, what would you say, Mac, like 80-85% complete?
Yeah.
That you can go in. Actually, here's the one, McKinsey, that you showed, the one that we've spent $25,000 on. You can use those, everything, the emails, the landing page, the ebooks, the nurture sequences, all of the Opti-channel, all of those components are there for you. Here's another one we did with USPS, pre-built, pre-packaged, ready to go. If you're an agency, if you're in print, if you work with organizations who need to drive leads and sales, these are campaigns that'll help you hit the ground running. Yep. I showed you my markets, right? That's where you can go in and use the software to find additional pieces of content. So that's another very helpful thing that a lot of our clients enjoy. And then there's one more thing, Mac, and then I'll go back to your questions. I'll shut up, okay?
Perfect.
Some of you here are agencies or are service providers, and you're thinking, shoot, if I can learn how to do this for myself, why can't I sell this as a service to my clients? Why can't I wrap this philosophy, this practice around what I sell my clients? Yeah. We have what we call a partner program fast launch, which helps you do exactly that. If you're a service provider, that could be a printer, an agency, marketing services company. We give you demo sites that you can use to help sell and show your clients the opportunity. You're able to create sub accounts, meaning separate individual accounts for all of your customers. We give you pre-built campaigns that you can use. One of the ones that's very popular right now is an omni-channel curbside ordering solution, an e-commerce solution. So it's a digital storefront. How many of you have restaurants as customers or retail locations as customers? Especially right now, a lot of them are struggling to be able to offer their food products or their menu in an affordable way. And so we've built a solution inside of this omni-channel platform that helps you bring them a very cost-effective mechanism for driving engagement, leads, and orders. They can transact online. That's much less expensive and more efficient than some of the other solutions out there that are gouging folks. So if you're a service provider and you have clients like that, that's something else we can help you do. I'm going to shut up now, Mackenzie. Let's get back to your real-time questions here.
Awesome. So a great question that came up, when marketing on LinkedIn for your business, should you do it on your personal profile, your business profile, multiple team members profile? Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So what we would recommend is you start with your personal profile and get that dialed in. And again, in the training, if you happen to be interested in the training, we can show you all of those steps. Get the personal profile dialed in, and then also there are things you should apply to your company profile. But the personal profiles have great organic reach when it's done right. The company profiles have another advantage to them, which is that when you find a post that does well, you can actually put money behind that. And it's kind of like adding fuel to the fire. You can boost that with ad spend. And that's another fantastic technique for getting more traffic. We don't have time to go into all of that today, but that's kind of the guidance that I would give, Mackenzie.
Perfect. Yeah. Another question I've seen 2 or 3 times is, hey, I'm not that technically savvy. Can I do this process if I'm not technically savvy?
Yeah, definitely. We see clients that are sales teams of folks, business development, don't necessarily have HTML or technical experience. If you use the Mindfire software, it's designed to be used by folks who are not technical. If you happen to be technical, you can get under the hood and go even further. But no, it's not a requirement for running omni-channel campaigns.
Perfect. Let's see. We are a printer. We use a lot of mail. Can we use things like pearls?
We are a printer. Can we use pearls? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So if you don't know what a pearl is, folks, it's a personalized URL. It's typically printed on a direct mail piece. And direct mail is still an optimal channel, an omni-channel for many B2B and B2C markets. Yes, the software, the Mindfire software I showed you, does do personalized URLs.
Perfect. This was way earlier, but I thought it was interesting. Someone was saying that they're paralyzed with the idea of, why would someone want to follow me? Right. And so I'm looking for the best way that I can actually, have people follow me, and why would they want to? And I think it's important, just to answer your question, this came from Chris, is that we want to encourage you to find your tribe. We're going to teach you how you can find people who are like-minded. And we're going to show you, as we just have, right, how you can take content that's valuable in the eyes of your audience and share it with them. And that's why people want to follow you. They're going to want to follow you because they like the things that you are posting. They are motivated by it. It helps them grow their business. You give them tangible tips and tricks or whatever it is, right? No matter what business you're in, there is an audience out there who's looking for information that you can share. You can become a thought contributor in the space. You don't have to be a thought leader. You don't have to create all the ideas, right? But what your goal should be is to contribute to the conversation in a way where people are finding what you're saying valuable. And you do that by looking, by listening, by sharing, by engaging, right? If someone's commenting on your stuff and you don't say thank you, or you don't engage with them back, well, why are they going to want to follow you, right? You're not upholding a two-way relationship here, right? And so when you apply this philosophy, this methodology, people who are like-minded are going to organically be attracted to things that you're posting about. If anyone goes to my page, you're going to notice I post stuff that has nothing to do with sales and marketing, stuff related to health, wellness, fitness, working out, yoga. And not everyone likes those things, and that's okay, right? But the people who do are going to resonate. Or Dave posts a lot about his kids and family. I don't have kids and family, but a lot of people out there resonate with that, right? So it's about finding the things that are authentic to you, intersecting those with the things that are specific to your business, right? The insight that you can bring. Maybe you've led a sales team. Maybe you are a sales professional. Maybe you're a print expert. Maybe you're a marketing expert. You have something to say, right? When you share that, people find that valuable, and that's why they are attracted to you, and that's why they follow you.
So Mackenzie, we're getting numerous requests to meet with you folks. We may be close to being maxed out. If you want to talk to us, yeah, seriously, if you want to talk and you need help, Mac, I put the URL back up on the screen. Do it now, folks. If you have even just an indication or an inkling in your mind that this might be useful. I see Chris saying, I have always been looking for a way to network myself. This looks like the answer. So Chris, I don't know if you're already working with us or talking to us, but we'd love to help. mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Go over there now. Mackenzie, I know you have to drop off. Is that right?
I know. I have to drop off, but it was really, really fun spending time with you. Dave, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And if you do schedule a call, I look forward to talking to you. So thank you so much for spending your time with me, having me. And again, our most important thing is we want to bring you value. So hopefully something I said today was able to bring you value or be a take home for you.
Definitely. You're a rock star. Well, thank you, Mackenzie. I know you have other people to attend to. Thank you. I'm going to stay with everybody here. I'll circle back with you, Mackenzie, later. Yep, I'm going to stay here with you. I want to know what other questions you have, folks. Thank you, Mackenzie. So I see Judd is saying thank you. Paul says thanks, Mackenzie. David says thanks, Mackenzie. Michael's got a great question here. He says, what set me apart from other salespeople was my willingness and ability to look customers in the eye, shake their hand, gain their trust, and provide them with quality service and product with hard work. Now, I feel like I've been stripped of all things that make me stand out. Wow, man. A prisoner behind my desk staring at my computer. I'm all in on this. We'll get out of my comfort zone and give it my full effort. Michael, that's fantastic. I can't tell you how happy that makes me. Thanks for the information. Look forward to learning how to use these tools and take advantage of this training. Get back into being the confident top-tier salesperson I know I am. I know you are, Michael. This sounds like it's resonated with you. You understand. Chris is saying ditto, Michael. Who else resonates with what Michael says? Give Michael a little encouragement here. Michael, did you set up a time to talk with me and Mackenzie and our team, see how we can help? Paul says, yes. Michael, you have a lot of people resonating here with you. I'm going to take actually what Michael said. Gosh, that's so inspiring. And paste it in there. That's what he just said. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, Craig, it is awesome. What other questions do you have, folks? I want to help you answer your questions. Please take us up on the opportunity to talk about how we can help your business here, help you as a sales rep, sales exec. mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Michael says he's filling out the form now. Okay. David says, yes, it resonates. Thanks for sharing, Michael. Here's a question I always ask in these sessions, and I hope you take a moment and really think deep about this. What was it today that resonated with you? What was it today where you heard what we were talking about, you heard what we were training, and you said, gosh, I never thought of that? Or that it was an unlock for you, or one of those aha moments where you realized, this really makes sense. Didn't put these things together until now. It's really helpful to hear those things. Take a moment, go over to the chat. Tell us what those things were. Nick says, thanks. It's a new world and requires new ways to drive sales. You're welcome, Nick. I'm glad it was helpful for you. Dar says how to piggyback content. Excellent. Chris says omni-channel, not necessarily multi. Absolutely. Leslie says your presentation made it easy to understand and created such a buzz and excitement. Thank you. Leslie, that means the world to us. There's so many people here at Mindfire that help us put these sessions on. I get to be the dancing monkey on stage, but we really appreciate hearing that. Thank you so much. David says, I wasn't able to be here for the whole thing, but it was helpful to get some encouragement to keep me on track. Craig says, we never want to go back to normal. Liz says, the hijacking of content is what stood out. Sylvia says, the importance of regular feed to social media and good content. Shelly says, have done the profile update, produced and shared content, and my follower and leads have gone up. So Shelly, you're saying that they have gone up for you, or that when you do that, they will go up? Tell me more what you mean, Shelly. Love hearing that. Paula says, everything is great. Well, folks, I'm so glad to hear that. Keep that feedback. Shelly says leads have gone up for her. That's fantastic. I am so glad to hear that. There are literally hundreds of stories like that, of folks who go through this kind of session with us, who get into one of our trainings, who start using our software, who do one of the things that I had here up on the screen. I went through it very quickly with you. My goal isn't to twist your arm or to obligate you to anything. It's just to give you help if you need help. I've given you my cell phone number if you want leads, if you want to be notified of things like this training that we're doing for you. We're here to serve, and you know why now, right? The business model of giving value is an incredible business model. Will it change everything on day one? No. On day two? No. On day three? Maybe. Day 4, month 5, end of year 1? Without a doubt, if you can start building this muscle, we're not going back to the way things were before, at least for some time. Take this opportunity to learn what you need to learn. Set up a time, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. I see Marty just grabbed a spot. Greg just grabbed a spot. Terry grabbed. Julie. Hey, Julie. Kevin did. Awesome. Wow. Melissa, thank you. Thank you for sending that out to everybody. Let me actually... I'm going to do something here. I haven't done this before. I haven't done this in a while. Since I saw Melissa helping me out here. Gosh, Melissa, thank you for sending that URL out to everybody. You can now chat, folks. You can see each other. There's still a lot of people here in the room in Zoom. And there's still a lot of you here on LinkedIn. I turned that on. Let's see. Sandy is saying, are you going to send this recording to us to look back over? Yes, Sandy. Later today, you will get a link, or maybe it's tomorrow. You'll get a link with the recording. Bridget says, finding good content has been a major struggle. I'm looking to other options. Well, Bridget, here's one way that you can absolutely take advantage of, other good content. Nick says, glad I joined in, was burdened with having to spend so much time with writing our own content. Your piggyback and hijacking content using as your own is gold. Ah, Nick, that's so awesome. Thank you for letting us know that. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. What other questions do you all have? I'm not going to leave. I want to make sure I answer all your questions. Hey, if you're over on LinkedIn, drop me a yes if you're over there on LinkedIn, or hit a thumbs up. Like I said, LinkedIn doesn't always do a good job notifying us. And how about McKinsey, huh? What a blessing it is to be able to have folks around you like McKinsey. We have teams of people like McKinsey that are just passionate and dedicated to helping our clients and are just good people. So I'm so grateful that she was able to join us today. Hopefully you were able to get value out of what she shared and how she shared our story. What else can I answer for you folks? If you haven't grabbed a spot yet, go ahead and try mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Fill in the form. I see James just signed up. Thank you, James. Can't wait to talk to you. Craig says the entire Mindfire team is amazing. Michael says McKinsey is awesome. You are too. Thanks for the inspiration. Thank you, Michael. We do it for you. Don says McKinsey and you are blessings. Thank you, Don. Thank you. Yeah, everything we've shared with you today is true. Everything we've shared with you today is from personal experience. It's from, having rolled up our sleeves, not only here internally for our organization, but also for thousands of companies around the world. Organizations like HP and others have seen this light and have, contracted with Mindfire to train teams of customers and of partners, resellers in this new model. So there's a lot of opportunity here for all of you. Sandy says, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. Sandy, what stood out to you? What did you enjoy most? And thank you for that, by the way. I really appreciate that. Hopefully you've all connected with me on LinkedIn. If not, please find me. Please send me a little note. I love being connected with you. Or if you want, connect with me through SMS. Let me see how many of you have texted me here. A lot of messages have come in over the past little while. Yeah, I see a bunch of messages here. I see Eric. I see Shelly, Jeff, Chris. I see Bill, Michael, Lisa. Thank you, folks. I see you all there. Wow, Bridget, thank you so much. Bridget, if you want, you can chat with everybody. Change the little pull down there in the chat. Right now, it's probably set to all panelists. You can pull it down to all panelists and attendees if you want to chat with everyone. Same to the rest of you. James, thank you. You folks are sharing the URL with everyone. If all of you want to talk, you want to be able to have your words seen by others, just change the little pull down there in the chat, pick all panelists and attendees, and then others will see it. Otherwise, it'll just be private here with me and the Mindfire team. All right, let me see. Sandy's saying, one thing I realized that you can use content outside of our business scope on LinkedIn. Like Mackenzie said, talking about yoga or whatever our personal interests are. Yeah, Sandy, great point. In our trainings, we actually show you what's called the orthogonal 5 model. It's a fancy word, basically meaning intersecting kind of perpendicular interests. So think of it this way, Sandy, and for everybody else. If you are promoting your business and it's about a certain service or a product that you offer, right? And you imagine that going this way. Intersecting that, coming from the top, we recommend you find 5 topics that are of personal interest, personal passions of yours. As an example, for me, it might be being a dad, right? Being a dad and being an entrepreneur. When you identify those top 5 things for you, Sandy, and for everyone who's listening and watching, you can find that those will intersect the service and product that you offer as a business or that you sell. At the intersection of those 2 points is a limitless, unlimited amount of content that you can produce, that you can unearth in yourself that's going to resonate with different pockets of the market. Does that make sense? So the parents that are entrepreneurs are going to see my content and are going to say, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Let's say another one of my interests is, just making this up, is skiing, right? At the intersection of my passion of skiing with what it is that I do for my business is another group of people that you will resonate with. So Sandy, very salient point that you made there. Ashley says, thanks for everything, David. Look forward to working with you guys. Got to sign off. This has been really enlightening. Ashley, I'm glad. Craig is looking for the recordings. Craig will get those to you. Kalpesh says, I can't sign in at mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Let me see. Suzanne, if you're still here, can you help Kalpesh? Let me see. Can you get in Zoom chat and help? So she'll come in here. Sandy says, Grateful Dead for you. James says, I sell lasers to veterinarians and no call on them, no trade shows. Yep. Interesting. Lasers. What do the vets do with lasers? Help me understand that, James. I'm just curious. Sylvia says, very inspiring approach you guys have. Thank you, David and Mackenzie. Sylvia at DScoop. Sylvia, love you and love DScoop. If there's more that we can do together, we'd love to know. We'd love to be able to do more sessions like this with you and the community. Paul says, that is great. 5 topics instead of 1. Yeah. So Paul, you're talking about the orthogonal 5 model. I don't know if I have it printed out here, but there's another third dimension to that. If you want to know the third dimension, so the first dimension is your business interests. The second are those personal passions. There's a third. If you want to know that, I'm happy to share with you. Sandy says, this makes a lot of sense. We own a graphics company and do a lot in the live music and event industries. Awesome. Jim says, very valuable to my market. Thank you. Jim, I'm glad. What was most beneficial to you, Jim? James says for pain management. Interesting. Okay, cool. So for Kalpesh, who was having difficulty, let me know what the problem was. If you can't go to mindfiremarketing.com/yes, I'm going to have my team jump in here in the chat and see if we can help you there. There we go. Suzanne. Okay, she's in. Perfect. Suzanne, if you can hear me, Kalpesh, who's here, had a question about, yeah, there you go. Looks like you're helping. Julie says, I need to leave. Can I still receive the how-to ebook? Yes, absolutely. You're free to leave, Julie. Thank you for reminding us that. We'll send that out. We'll send that guide out to you. Julie was asking about the guide. Absolutely. Julie, I think you put some time on the calendar. Thank you for that. I see Bridget did as well. I see Greg did. I see James did. I see Michael did. Awesome. Thank you for those folks. You're welcome. Thank you for all the kind words, everyone. Jim, I see you have your hand up. Let us know what question you have. Amy, Andy's here. Ann is here. Hey, Ann O, so you know which Ann I'm referring to. Thank you for engaging me on LinkedIn. Anthony is here. Barry is here. Bridget, Charles, Chris. I see a lot of names here. Tracy, Tom, Steve, Sylvia, of course, Shelly. What questions do you folks have? Melissa says, thanks to you and your team for the valuable content. You're welcome. Have to sign off now. Have a great weekend. You too, Melissa. I hope you have a good weekend. Stay safe. I know there's a lot of craziness going on out there. Rob says, thanks for the insights. Great job presenting it. You're welcome, Rob. It's a pleasure. It's a joy. And it's really an honor. I really appreciate that. No problem. Suzanne, mute one of them. You should be able to mute one. Thank you, Suze. I really appreciate it. So who's saying they're a Mindfire addict here? Shelly says, thanks for everything. I'm a Mindfire addict. You don't know how happy that makes me, Shelly. Thank you. I hope it's a good addiction. You know, there's all sorts of addictions. But Shelly, thank you for that. Let's see. Anthony says, got to run. Great presentation. Signed up for a time on the link and looking forward to it. Anthony, as are we. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dar says, thanks, David. Great session. Have a great weekend to you and your amazing team. Dar, same to you. Thank you. Stay safe. Let us know if you have any questions. And hopefully, if we have a time on the calendar, look forward to meeting you one-on-one in that way. Shelly says, it is a good addiction. Nick says, also looking forward to offering this service to our new and existing clients. Interesting, Nick. Remind me, Nick, what company are you with? What company are you with? Here's an example of an organization like yours, perhaps, Nick. Bob over at an organization that we work with. This was sent a little while back, but he's doing similar to what maybe you're talking about doing, where he wants to offer, or he wanted at that point to offer multi-channel, omni-channel communications to his clients. And look what he says. I agree. It's only the beginning. I think texting, which is another omni-channel that we haven't even touched on today, opens up so many doors. I'm amazed that more clients on all levels are not using it more. So he's a service provider, what we call a service provider, probably because a lot of old school mentality is still out there. So for folks like Nick and others who are thinking, hey, how can I sell this as a service to my clients? Big opportunity for you folks. Sandy says, this is my first time and I'm really excited about the information you shared. Have a great weekend. Sandy, thank you. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And Suzanne is thanking you as well. You know, this works for all types of organizations. I don't know if I've introduced you before in one of these sessions to Bill Hodges. Bill wrote an amazing email here to us. You know, he's talking about how he never appreciated Mindfire like he did until February. This is when the big C took over, right? And you can read this. I'm sure you can see it here on your screen. But he talks about being empowered in ways that he could never imagine. I'll be honest with you. He says, pre-February, I had no real appreciation for this service that I'd been paying for. Now, when I talk to my village, he's talking about the community that he's been able to build through this. They're mere clicks away. He's talking about the Mindfire software makes it intuitively easy for me, and I'm learning more every day. Your offering is far above that of a software company. Again, very kind words. So appreciative of that. When this is over, I think I might be indebted to you for the survival of my 133-year-old company. Folks, that's what it's all about. That's what drives me as an entrepreneur. That's what drives this organization of people here at Mindfire to help you. I'm fortunate enough to be at a place in my career now where I can do that the majority of my time, and it's very rewarding. So I hope to be able to help more of you. Are there any other questions that you have? If you're interested in and haven't yet grabbed a spot on the calendar, there's the URL, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. Suzanne will throw that into the chat. Suze, give me look over there in Ring Central. I have a question for you over there. What other questions do you have? Randy, Paula, Tracy, Tom, Steve, anybody over in LinkedIn? Don, we have a couple of Dons here. Fred, Gail, Gene. Hey, Gene, questions. Greg, the iCatalyst team. Thank you folks for being here. Who's still here from the iCatalyst team? I saw a couple of chats coming in during the session. I hope this was fruitful for you. I hope this was time well invested. David A is here. Okay. David, any questions? Great name, by the way. Great name. Jim is here. Jim, haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for being here at this session. Kevin's here. I'm talking to Jim E specifically. Paula says you did great and answered lots of my questions. Good. Thank you for that. All right, Marty, what questions do you have? Or Marilyn, Monica, Nick, Paula. If you have to leave, folks, don't worry. Just say goodbye on your way out over there in LinkedIn or on Zoom. Thank you. We already asked questions during the presentation. Okay, so Dave over at iCatalyst, hope this was helpful to you. I hope it was informative. Thank you for asking your questions. IJ, or is it Jay? How do you determine which LinkedIn plan to sign up for? Jay, use the free option that we all have access to. Start there. That's more than sufficient to get you started in your OptiChannel journey. So Jay, or is it IJ? I'm not sure. Maybe that's a typo, but free is fine for now. Paula says, very informative. Good. Nick says, thanks again. Looking forward, or looking fed. I'm looking fed, or you're looking forward. Jay is saying thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, Jay. Feed. Let's see. iCatalyst team says, awesome presentation and technology. This is the future of effective marketing. Agreed. Monica says, thank you and goodbye. Nick, oh, you meant forward. Okay, gotcha. It's the first time someone's told me that I've been looking fed. I'm just kidding. Charles, you're welcome. Thank you, folks. Anybody else, if you have a question, Sandy says, thank you, Suzanne. I have to run, have a meeting now. I really enjoyed it. Have a great day. If you have any questions, we'd love to talk with you one-on-one. Mindfiremarketing.com/yes. You can see that there on the screen. I think that right now, if you're on the fence about, hey, is this something that would work for me? I want to share with you a couple of data points before we hang up here. Let me bring those back up here on the screen. There's a couple of things here that I think, for those of you who are still here, why is this something that you should consider now? This is according to some data that was just released. I want you to consider this. Virtual selling, social selling, we argue is here to stay. This is from a LinkedIn survey of over 500 sales professionals. 80% said they've somewhat or completely shift to virtual selling during COVID-19. What's interesting is that 57% believe this new social selling model is better than the previous traditional selling approach. And almost half, 46%, expected to continue this way, selling in this way, beyond 12 months. Now, I argue to you, what I've tried to communicate to you today is that creating a sales model that uses this strategy isn't just a nice to have. It's imperative. And I think that the companies and the people that act now have a significant competitive advantage. I saw some of you say, is it too late? Have I missed the boat? You absolutely have not. You absolutely have not. But if you don't face up to this reality, you do run the risk of being left behind. But there's still plenty of opportunity for you now. The other thing I want you to remember is that, I've often pointed to this spot behind me as like the old way, right? The old style of doing things. And if there was already at that point a disconnect by Dave, I see you having to leave, no problem. If there was already a disconnect at that point in time between buyers and sellers, it's even more so pronounced now. This model, and for that matter, this season that we're in as a world, as a nation, calls for a new model, a new way of marketing and selling. That's what OptiChannel is, where it places your customer, your prospect at the center of everything that you're doing. And so I just hope to encourage you, if you're thinking, hey, did I miss the boat? Is it too late? Is it too hard? It's not, folks. Let us help you understand what you need to do. I've put that URL up on the screen a number of times. It's there for you. If you want to talk further, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. I know that we're almost going on 2 hours. I really appreciate you all being here. What other questions do you have? Let's see. Bridget says, everyone keeps typing that in the comments because the slide that you have gives us the impression you want us to. Oh, Bridget, good feedback. No problem. Bridget, I thought you were helping me share that with everybody, but I appreciate that. That's good. That's good feedback. Gene just grabbed a spot. Thank you, Gene. Bridget, it looks like you grabbed a spot as well. Jim says, to be able to put together an outline for action. Thank you, Jim. So maybe you're answering one of my questions, Jim, as to what stood out to you today. Hopefully it's been helpful. Are there any slides, any data, anything that I had up on the screen that you want me to put up again? Anything that you weren't able to jot down? Is there anything else I can put up on the screen? And if you have to leave, no problem. Thank you for being here. I'm happy to put stuff back up on the screen if you missed something. I'm here for you folks. So let me know, what else can I do to help? I'm going to wait another few moments here, another few minutes, just to make sure I get everybody. If there's anything else you want me to put back up on the screen, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you. Like I said at the beginning, I know that, putting this time on your calendar is not insignificant. I don't know how you found the session today, whether it was through an email, through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through a text message that maybe we had, but I appreciate you responding. I appreciate you engaging and signing up, and hopefully it's been of value to you. So let me pause a few more minutes. Kevin, Liz, Lynn, Marty, Paulette, Randy, Steve, Tom. We've got Don's here. Dave says, I'd like to see the replay. I had several distractions I had to attend to during the session. Totally understand, David or Dave. Please let me have the replay link. So Dave, a couple hours from now, we should process the recording and you'll get a link. So we'll send that out to you via email, the email that you use to sign up for today's event, and you'll have that. All right. So Dave, we'll get that on. Yep, we'll get that out to you. No problem. Chris, is Ann still here? Ann O, are you still here? I want to know what other questions you folks have. Andy, Don, and again, I encouraged all of you to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you haven't done that, please do. Search for me on LinkedIn. We publish a lot of information there. If you want to get even more personal, which if you haven't already gathered, I share everything. Connect with me on Facebook if you want. Find me on Facebook, and happy to engage with you there. You'll notice that there's a different set of content that I engage in conversation with on Facebook than on LinkedIn. So if you want to know more about me and Mindfire and kind of see behind the scenes, love to connect with you in both places. So Marty's saying, also want the replays of previous. Okay, Marty, no problem. We'll send that out to you as well. Suzanne, can you help me remember when our team follows up with this, also include the link to all of the previous sessions, okay? Ann says, fighting a sinus infection. Ann, I'm so sorry. I hate sinus infections. I've had those for a couple of times throughout my life. Not fun. I hope you're okay, Ann. I hope you're okay. And I hope you got value out of today. Ann, was it helpful even despite the sinus infection? Did you get what you were looking for? Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that. Sorry to hear about Ann. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, Ann. I've got my my Dayquil sitting right here. Here in the office. All right, folks. Suze, I'm going to ask you. Okay, I see your answer, Suze. Cool. Well, what else can I do to serve you folks? If there's nothing else, I want to be respectful of your time. I'm sure you're all very busy. Ann says, thanks, always helpful and fantastic. And thank you for engaging on LinkedIn and some of the other places that we've talked. If there's anything else that I can do to help you, Ann, if I can do anything else to help you as a community, you'll see me often asking questions. I drink our Kool-Aid because I know it works, right? So when I engage you in LinkedIn, when I ask you a question in email, when I text you, it's all coming from a place of understanding or trying to understand what can we do to serve you better, whether that be in training like we're doing today, whether that be in our software, whether that be in our agency. We have an agency in-house that runs these kinds of campaigns for organizations. Whether it be in our product development, we're always trying to keep you front and center to understand what we can do to help. All right, well, I think with that, if there isn't anything else, I'm going to draw us to a close. Thank you again, everyone, for being here today. We will send out the recording and we'll make sure to include the links to the prior sessions. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. It's really an honor to be able to serve you in this way. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, wherever you happen to be. Stay safe, get better, like Ann over there. And I look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to have one more of these sessions before the end of the year. Next Friday, we're going to do another session on a new topic. So look forward to seeing you there. Look out for that. And let's converse on LinkedIn, social, email. Keep the information coming, and have a great rest of the day, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.